It has been 21 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks hitting the Capitol, the World Trade Centers, and a plane that was crashed in the middle of a field because the people rose up against the hijackers and foiled their plans. 21 years. When I was about 36, I keep misremembering my own age when I deconverted, but regardless, it's been about, it was about 14 years between the attack and when I deconverted. And I suppose it's perhaps odd to think of this in that way, but this event caused prominent people to come out against religion. Islam was a threat, is still a threat, continues to be a threat. This is who's responsible for these horrific events. The events of this day are something that send chills into me. I remember I was watching TV, flipping through channels. I thought, oh man, there's this movie. I don't want to see this. Flip the channel, same movie. Wait, what? No, same movie. And then, this isn't a movie. This is news. This is real. My God. People are dying. What is going on? I cried. Not knowing what to do or how to feel about it, other than feeling very sad and angry. Recall a few days later, I was at college, and I remember one girl crying, saying that we should nuke the entire place. We can't do that. That's what they want. They want to hurt us. We're not, hurting them like that. It's messed. Even though I was angry, that wasn't right. Children will be learning about this event as history, never having seen it themselves, never having experienced this, never having known this terror, and the uncertainty that it brought to all of us. We are not immune to attacks. only takes a few dedicated people to destroy many lives. And no amount of weapons that you might personally own can save you from such an attack. No amount of planning would be sufficient because you don't know when it's coming. And that's why it's called terror. Because you're supposed to be scared. Well, I'll tell you what, not scared. I didn't start the fight, but I'll certainly finish it. But I'll finish it on my terms and not on theirs. They would be happy for continual conflict. And goodness knows we screwed up that situation. Those that want to destroy do so for any number of reasons, but I think that it's all too easy to use the excuse that God wants me to do it. Now, without that excuse, yes, you can go to battle. It's kind of hard to get people to be motivated in this way. I'm not saying it's impossible. Obviously, there were suicide attackers in during world wars, but seems to be the exception rather than the rule. These were deliberate, planned attacks, whereas that seems more like a attack of desperation. Regardless, whatever the part of human nature that surely exists in all of us to do great harm must be fought internally. That no matter what we're told or who tells us that hurting others, that killing, that destroying is a good idea, if that's coming from inside of you, outside of you, doesn't matter. You need to fight that because you don't give in to that darkness, that evil. So, how do I want to win against those types? Well, by using love, logic, reason, compassion, by attempting negotiation, by attempting everything that I could do, encouraging others to do the same, whether those people be of political power or just other fellow people in general, and in believing that and knowing that can and will have some impact in the long term. And you might wonder how I could possibly hope to know that. Well, I think that history can show that this long-term strategy pays out. Sure, you could, and people have conquered entire nations with utter destruction and violence. But of course, those places soon fail. That society soon melts away because it is impossible to maintain that level of anger against other humans for long. Either you wipe out all those humans and then you're quickly looking for more humans to hate, and before you know it, you're the hated one and then you're destroyed. Or everyone sees what you're doing and decides you need to go. So it doesn't work in long term. But what does? Peace. How do we achieve peace? Well, we have to be willing and able to set aside our ideals, our core convictions, our beliefs, and approach the other to understand them. Where are they coming from? What do they want and why? And if you find ultimately that this person or group is unreasonable, unreachable, unlovable because they're determined to destroy, then at least you know your enemy now. And you know what it will take to defeat them. Hopefully, and I think inevitably, love will prevail in the long term over hate, wrath, destruction. Those things are easy. It's easy to destroy, it's hard to build up. And the two things historically that I reflect upon that I view as indicators that this strategy can and does work are Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. Now, of course, these people are not perfect, but they both utilized peaceful tactics to achieve their ends and were successful. Sadly, of course, because evil is evil, those two both were assassinated for their efforts in the long run and became symbols and martyrs for the cause of peaceful change. It's easy to be cynical and think, well, that's not going to work. That's idealistic. There's times to fight. Yes, there are times to fight. There are times to be a Malcolm X. And there's times to be a Martin Luther King Jr. Knowing what time it is, that's the hard part. Immediately after the events of 9/11, I wanted to hurt those who hurt us. But a day after, not so much. Then the day after, I felt pity. I don't want to destroy them all. I certainly want to get the people that did this. I'd like to see them put on trial. I'd like to see something happen to them. Because ending their life, I view as the last resort. And so, many attack religion. Islam was at first talked about a lot. But at some point, the conversation shifted to Christianity, and Seems like us atheists have been stuck with that to some degree. Now, there's many reasons for that. Primarily that's what we have to deal with, broadly speaking. I don't hear much from the group that hates and wants to destroy. They don't make apologetic videos to respond to because they already know in their mind, they believe that they are right and they don't need to convince anybody else. And that sort of certainty, well, we saw how that can pan out. Many, many people were affected by these events. There's a lot of focus on the trade centers because that was a big, big target. Then there's, of course, focus on the Pentagon because, well, that was also a pretty big target. And then, inevitably, you have the mention of the single plane. And you wonder why isn't that celebrated in a sense? The celebrated seems like the wrong word, but celebrated that humans stood up against the evil to stop it. Perhaps because it's so small in comparison, but certainly lives were ended and others were affected by those endings. And what sense can we make of any of it? Blame religion? Yes. To a degree, though. Blame human nature? Perhaps. Because there is an aspect of humanity that wishes to destroy, and whatever that is, however that manifests, that's what we need to go against. Not quite sure how to do that, but I know some ways to not do it, so that's a start. And although I'm a jaded skeptic, I do believe that as long as there's love in this world, there's also hope for us all.